All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Acad Systems free online lesson. Okay, thank you very much for joining me today. Before I get started, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Hakim, and I'm the BIM specialist or application engineer for Acad Systems. All right. I hope you guys can hear my voice and see the screen right now. Okay, just admit all the participants. Okay, thank you very much. For today's topic, it will be about introduction to Revit Dynamo. Okay, so I know a lot of you are have heard about Revit. Okay, and I know also a lot of you are users for Revit. Okay, Revit is very popular nowadays, so a lot of people are have already known this software Revit. Okay, so, but I believe a lot of Revit users itself might not know what is Dynamo. Okay, so today we will go through what is Dynamo, what it is used for, and also we'll look at um, some of what Dynamo can do. Okay. So what is Dynamo in Revit? Okay, before that, Dynamo also uh, Dynamo is also a standalone software as itself. Okay, that we can later like connect to multiple softwares, not just Revit. But as I'm a Revit user, I will talk a lot about Dynamo in Revit. Okay, so Dynamo in Revit is a visual programming platform. Okay, obviously for I'll just admit people. Okay, we've got quite a number of participants today. Thank you very much. Okay, Dynamo is a visual programming for Revit. Okay, in this case, okay, Dynamo enables custom computational design and automation processes. All right, typically programming is done with text, and visual programming replaces codes with nodes and wires instead. Okay, basically what it's saying here, when you are doing your work in Revit, for example, you have a desk that you want to rotate. Okay, for example, so that task, in order for it to happen, behind that there's actually a programming code that makes that task happen. Okay, so for non-programmers like us, like most of us, we are maybe architects, engineers, we might not know all those programming languages, right? So Dynamo allows us to use visual programming instead, using like nodes and lines, okay, to actually run that programming code, okay, in a um, visual style lah. Okay, so as you can see underneath here, so a textual programming code will look something like this, which most of us will have no idea at all with this. And if you know this, you might be someone that is more inclined towards the computer science or IT programmer, all those people lah. But us, we are visual people. Okay, that's why we have this Dynamo uh, for us to run our codes, basically, right? Well, at first for me, it's still quite intimidating when I look at these nodes and wires. Like, what is this, right? So, but what I can tell you that in order to learn this Dynamo, you have to take it step by step and start small. Okay, if you break it down, it's actually just as how you would do it in Revit itself. Okay, later I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Okay, before we jump into the Dynamo, so what does Dynamo do in Revit? Mostly, we have three things here I've listed here. So first is automation of repetitive tasks. Okay, and then we have also parametric modeling. Okay, if you are familiar with like generative design in Revit, okay, you can imagine that with Dynamo we can just do this generative design with hundreds of options, right? So we just speed up our modeling processes, and we can also test a lot of things in a very short time using those nodes. And we can also do output data. Basically, it can be used to select elements of a specific category and report them into Excel and stuff like that, right? But for starters, I would say you try to look at examples of automation of repetitive tasks. Okay, this is how normally people will start with in Dynamo. Okay, so without further ado, let's go into Revit. Okay, so here is my Revit. I will just start off my Revit as we would normally do. Okay, I'll just use this template. Okay, right. Start up my Revit, and then to access this Dynamo, you should go to the Manage in your ribbon. Go to Manage tab. Okay, and then on the far right, we have the visual programming panel, and then there's Dynamo here. Okay, so you can click at Dynamo. Okay, so you will take a little bit of time to load this up. Okay, and then it will show you the basically the home page. Okay, so Dynamo is also an open source program where people are continuously updating and sharing. Okay, so that's why you can join those forums, and you can look at video tutorials. All are basically here, okay, on the right side. And it's very simple. On the left side, we can start off with a new project, new here, and open is to browse and everything. And that's basically it. Here we have with the file. Okay, we have some files here. Okay, so I've opened up my Revit. I've also opened up this Dynamo, and I'll click new here. Okay, and then it will bring us to where we will do our programming lah, basically here. Okay, in this interface, what I will show you on the left is basically where the nodes are. Okay, so these things are called nodes, right? Okay, so nodes usually would basically represent a task or represent like a number or parameter that you want to add. Okay, and then you will connect them using wires. So everything is under your library on the left here. Okay, but I know there's a lot of things here, but even I do not know everything that is inside this library. Okay, so what we usually do, if for example, if I want to rotate, so I'll just go here and search for rotate. Okay. Then it will show us what are the rotate nodes are there in Dynamo lah. So you can choose whichever that is suitable for your task. Okay. Or even would just right click, and I can find the task, the node that I want to do. Okay. For example, rotate, and I can choose from right click. Okay. So for beginners, you don't have to know every single tabs here. Okay, So you just focus on some task that you want to do and just search. Okay. All right. And to navigate this area, basically there's two modes. This one is where if you click here, is where you can like rotate the environment and stuff like that. Okay, you can click here to move, and this one is to rotate. Okay. But later when you have the nodes, okay, you want to control the nodes, you will use this mode lah. Okay. If you look here, I click at this mode, I click at this mode. I I can't rotate the environment. Okay. Okay. And one more thing here, by default, this is set to automatic. Okay. I would recommend you to change this to manual, because automatic means that it will constantly run the codes. Okay. So this might not be suitable. Maybe if you're running a very simple code, then you can use this, but I would say just make it a habit to change this to manual. And when you change to manual, you have this run code. So after you create your nodes and everything, you can click run to actually run that task. Okay, if not, it will take your Revit or Dynamo will lag lah, basically. Okay. Right. So now you know more or less about the interface. I want to show you a simple task of, maybe first we start with a rotating. For example, we have 10 items in Revit that we want to rotate. Okay, so I will minimize my Dynamo. Okay, let's say here I have just a basic wall to represent a room. Okay, and then we have, I would like to place some components. Maybe I'll find, okay, we have a desk here. Let's say, let me just place this desk first. Okay, so basically we have multiple desks here. Okay, and then you want to rotate this desk to a certain degree, for example. Okay, so normally what you would do is you will go to the individual element, okay, and then you will click rotate, and then you will rotate it right. Or if you were to select all and then you want to rotate it, this will rotate all, but not, the center point will be for the whole selection. You know what I mean? Like I actually want all those desks to be rotated 45 degrees. But if I select all and like rotate to 45 degrees, it's not, it will be like this. I want individual item to rotate 45 degrees. You get what I mean? All right. So here is where Dynamo can be helpful for you. Okay. Which basically can automate those repetitive tasks. Okay. So I will we'll go back to Dynamo. Yeah, we'll go to Dynamo. Okay, here we think of the task basically. Okay, we will have to select the element, and then we have to click rotate, and then you have to input the degrees, okay, of your rotation. So first, how do we select the how do we select the dash? Okay, so here we have to know some of the codes lah. Okay, I will not lie to you. There are lots of nodes that you have to know. But my advice is you start small, get to learn some of the nodes, and then later on you will pick up bit by bit. So first we want to, for example, select the the desk. Okay, for that I'll just right click and search for select model, select element, or it's just element. Okay, sorry, should be select model, select model element. Okay, since this is, we have select model element here and elements. Okay, because there's a lot of dash there, so I take select model elements. Okay, and then after selecting, we have to rotate. So I will again create another node, just right click, and then I search for rotate. So there are a bunch of rotates here. The rotate that I'm going to use is, it should be, sometimes it's better for you to search here, because here you can actually see what is used for. It will have like explanation lah to that node. Okay, so what I'm going to use is this one actually. Okay, set rotation for the family instance. Okay, click here. Okay, so I'll place it like this. And then we have to input by how many degrees that the dash is rotating. Okay, so for that we will use for that I will use a code block. Okay, so if you go through this Dynamo later, you will know that there are various nodes that you can use. There is no one single way of doing it. Okay, but in this case, I will use something called code block. Okay, and then in this code block, I will input my degree lah. Basically, I want it to turn by 45 degree, so I put in 45, and then I have to put the semicolon. Okay, so that is just how it works. We have to put in the semicolon. Okay, and then here, that's basically it, the nodes that we need to have. Okay, then we need to, first we select the model element. We need to tie up with our models here. This is just a node, and currently it's not connected to our dash in the model. Okay, so I will click here, select, and then I'll minimize this, and then I will just select all like this in Revit. Okay, and go back to my Dynamo. I can see here they already selected a few elements that is listed here, right? So now there are something actually tied with this node. Okay, and then I will bring here, I will click here. Okay. Each node usually would have, on the left side, they will have the input, okay, and on the right, they have the output. Okay. So in this one, because this is a starting node, these nodes will only have the output lah. Okay, so I can click here and bring this to create what we call a wire, and I will connect it to this input. Okay, this node input. Right, so here is family instance, and then for this code block, okay, I'll take the output, connect to this degree input. Okay, now let's take a look in Revit. Okay, nothing is happening right now, so I'll click run here. Okay, it should be rotating by 45 degrees. Okay, right, see? Now it has rotated to 45 degree. So, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. To start, basically you will just think of what you would normally do in Revit. Okay, you will select the element, you will rotate, and then you will input by how many degrees that you will rotate, right? So that is exactly what happens here in Dynamo. You have to select the element by using these nodes, and then uh, you have to rotate, which is this node represented by this node, and then the degree of how much that you want to rotate with. So that is one example. I would like to show you another example. Okay, go back to Revit here. So for example, I have few windows here. The window command, and I place these windows. I'll just randomly place them. Okay, and as you would know, these windows has a perimeter seal height, and most probably now is using the default seal height, which is 900. So let's say I have like hundreds of windows that I have to change. So normally you will need to go to each of them, or actually you can, I know you can select all and you can change this, but to use Dynamo in this process, basically, I'll just show you the codes. Okay, so we have this window. Sorry. Okay. So first, what we will do is we will have to select the windows. Okay. So by that, I will bring in a node all categories because it works for all the windows. So it's categorized by a category. And then here I can search for window. Search it. Windows here. Okay. And then I will need a node called all elements. Okay. All elements of category because I want it to apply to all elements of that particular category. And then, okay, because what we want to do is we want to change the parameter, right? Okay, for that I have to bring in this node called element set parameter. Parameter. This set parameter by node. Okay. I know for me sometimes it's also quite a struggle to get the right node. Okay, we normally wouldn't like memorize the full name, right? Even for rotating, there will be this rotate, there will be this rotate, there will be this kind of rotate. So you might not be sure in the first time, but this takes practice. This takes practice. Like I said, just start small and then gradually you will get it day by day. Okay. And then the next note that is needed here, okay, we need to control that particular parameter. So that parameter name, I have to input a string, okay, string. This is where I would have to place, I have to type in steel height, okay, because that is the parameter that we are controlling. Okay, and then lastly for the, I think I get this one wrong. So I need to delete this. So just click on it and delete. Element. Parameter. I'm searching here. Element. Yeah, this one. Okay, element set parameter by name. Okay. As you can see here, there is 3 input. This is where our element will be connected, and then the parameter will be connected here. And then we need another node to control the value. So just now we use a code block to like input the number. Just to show you another example, I can use a number slider or integer slider. Okay, so this both can work actually. So with code block, you basically type in what is the value that you want. With the slider, you can actually like just drag like this. So now we have all the nodes. Now I have to connect them. So category, okay, input here, and then now it knows that it should be selecting all the windows. Just now we have to click here and select those elements. But using this node, it will select all the windows for you. And then this output will bring to here. And then the string still height connected to here. And the integer slider is for the value. Okay. And then I will click run. And then I will go to Revit. Now if I go to that window, click on it, then I can see the seal height is at 1 because our value here, sorry, our value here is 1. So I can just drag this in. Now the slider is until 100. Okay, that is very low lah for us for a window sill. So you can click at this arrow and just put the max number to, let's try 1000 lah, okay. So your slider will be available up to 1000. So let's say I just give it to 1527 and then click run. Okay, and then go to Revit. So to Revit. Okay. So you see my window now is 527. Okay. So those are the examples of and roughly how you can work with Revit, and those are examples for automatic automation for repetitive works, right? For example, just now for the windows, you will need to go to each window and change the seal height. But with this code, you imagine if you have a big building and you just need to adjust the seal height, and it's across level. In this example, we only have one level, so it's quite easy to do it without Dynamo itself. But imagine if it's multi-level, okay, and then you have hundreds of windows that you need to change. So you can use this Dynamo code to help you with that. Okay, so maybe in our next FOL session, we could try at other examples like parametric modeling. Okay, this one could be very interesting as well. Okay, okay, we've got a lot of attendees today. I think a lot of you are interested to know more about Dynamo. It's always there, I know it's always there, but we never really use it. Okay, hopefully with this video, you can get to start to explore Dynamo within your Revit. Okay, so I think that will be all for me today. Thank you very much for joining. I hope to see you in the next FOL session. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.